Hi everybody, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new tutorial. And I'm really excited because I'm bringing you a new product from Art Impressions called Twisters. And in particular, I'm using the Cat Twist Twister set. This is such a fun new line of products from Art Impressions, and it allows you to create some really cute cards that have a little bit of animation to them very simply and easily. So I'm pulling out the Cat Twist stamp set. It comes with the dies, so you have the coordinating dies to cut out the images. Now for all of the Twisters sets, you're going to want to have this twist frame die, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the first thing I need to do is stamp my images. I'm using my Misty stamping tool and some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink to stamp the images onto some watercolor paper. I'm stamping them a couple times just to get a really nice black impression since the watercolor paper is textured. Since I'm stamping on watercolor paper, obviously that means I'm watercoloring these images, but you could use whatever medium you prefer to color them in. For watercoloring, I worked with Altenew watercolors. These are the 36 pan set, and I really like the colors in this collection. So I'm using them to simply color in the cat. I'm not really focused too heavily on creating a lot of shadows and shading. I just want to add some color. I will add some stripe details to the cat here though in just a minute. I used gray for the body of the cat, and then on its belly I brought in this peach color and I watered it down a little bit with my brush to fade it out into a nice white color. So because there is a front and a back, I'm making sure that everything is colored the exact same way on the front as it is on the back. And here's where I brought in some black watercolor just to add some stripes to the cat. And like I just mentioned, because we're doing a front and back, I need to make sure that I give the exact same shading on the areas that you can see on the front and the back. I need to make sure it's the exact same way on both sides, so that way it matches and everything looks cohesive. So using the coordinating dies, I'm going to cut out the front and the back of the cat, and I used my Gemini Junior to cut these images out. Next, we're going to work on creating the card base and the background for this card. I'm starting off by ink blending a panel of white cardstock using Distress Oxide inks. I chose Wild Honey, Ripe Persimmon, and Seedless Preserves for the colors. I'm using Simon Says Stamp blending brushes to blend out these colors. I really love the beautiful blend of colors that you can achieve with blending brushes. The surface I'm working on is the Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station. This is a really handy tool because I can hold down my paper with some magnets if I want to, and I can also easily clean the surface up when I'm done. After blending the background, I'm just going to add a few splatters to give some nice texture to this background, and then this is going to go onto the inside of a slightly smaller than an A2 sized card. I lifted off those water splatters with a paper towel, revealing that really great texture. So the cat is a front and back image, just like I mentioned earlier, and I'm using just some tape runner to add a little bit of adhesive to one of the pieces, and then I'll lay the other piece right on top of that. So now we have a cat image that is front and back, really cute. On my card base, I cut out the twist frame die right into the center, and I'm going to make sure I score this really well with my bone folder to get a nice crisp edge. The background, like I mentioned earlier, is going to go inside of my card here. It's going to create a really nice contrast behind the cat. On the front of the card, I'm going to add some ink blending. So I wanted the blending to be a bit more concentrated in the center and then fade out as it goes towards the edge. So I'm going to take my blending brush and very carefully add ink onto the most center part of the card, fading that out as I go around the entire card base. Next, I'm going to add some texture to this beautiful ink blended background. So using that same Wild Honey ink that I used for the ink blending on the front, I'm going to take a bit of water and my paintbrush and splatter on some of this beautiful Wild Honey color onto that card base. This is just going to give some nice texture here and provide a little bit of interest to the coloring. And then my next step is to take the Reverse Hearts stencil. This is a beautiful stencil from Simon Says Stamp, one of my most favorite heart stencils. And I thought it would look really cute to have a tone-on-tone blended heart background on top of the ink blending we've already done. So just the same way as I had already applied the ink the first time, I'm going to concentrate the darkest color of ink towards the center and fade it out as I go towards the edges of the card base. And this is going to create this really great tone-on-tone effect. I just love how this turned out. So my card base is done, and we're ready to attach our twisters inside the frame. All you do is slip the two little slits into the notches that are created by the frame itself. And I'm using a Simon Says Stamp Reverse Love sentiment strip on the front. A bit of sequins are going to add a little bit of embellishment to the card. And then the really fun part is I'm going to complete the sentiment that's on the front by adding a second reversed sentiment strip onto the inside. So I'm just kind of lining this up in the same general area as the first sentiment strip. And I'm going to pop that down onto my card base. And this is going to finish things up. I really love the I'm obsessed with you sentiment. And then once you open it up, it says, not in a creepy way. Because I think that's just a really fun and a cheeky way of saying to somebody that you love them. To finish up this card, I'm going to add a cute little doodlebug heart underneath that sweet little sentiment strip. And that is going to finish up this fun and twisty card using the new Art Impressions Cat Twist Twister set. All of the twister sets are put together in the exact same way that I created this card. So no matter which twister set you have, you can create this card too, and I know you're going to have a lot of fun creating with this set just as I have. If you enjoyed, please be sure to stop by my blog and subscribe to my channel for more inspiration. On screen are 2 other videos you might like, and I thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. I'll be back very soon with more to share, and until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.